about tarot and things like that she's got up here to look at. She's going to give us a talk about tarot and what's going on with that. And before she starts though, I just want to say that we're also offering a soap making program coming up in November. It is demonstration only, but you will walk out with samples. So it's happening Tuesday, November 10th at 1 o'clock. It lasts about an hour and a half. So if you're interested, you have to sign up at the front desk. But Sally is going to start now, and thank you all for coming today.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you for inviting me. Boy, I used Waze, W-A-Z-E, on my phone, and it sent me like to the back beyond before I got here. So I think the clearest way for me would have been 95 and not 495. Anyway, I'm Sally. This is my son Christopher.
Hi, Christopher. Hi,
he has an interest in tarot cards too. Do you want to have a seat? Go ahead. Yeah, go have a seat. So, who here has some experience already with tarot cards? Raise your hands. 1 and 2. Okay. Do you guys, what deck do you use?
I use the Rider-Waite, and sometimes I use the Voyager deck.
Yep, okay. Yeah, so tarot, and what deck do you use?
Rider.
Rider, yeah. I like the Rider. I've been doing this for, when I was 12, my grandmother gave me a set of tarot cards, these cards, and never showed me anything to do, like how to do it. And I lost the instructions, so I, kind of on my own. It wasn't until I was in my 20s that I started really kind of exploring them. The Rider-Waite deck, which I use, which I would recommend that folks use, is very clear. It is pictures that you interpret. And it is pictures in combination that tell a narrative. And the narrative is very much dependent upon, what the question is that comes in. So I do tarot with a little extra layer, which is because I'm an astrologer. I have written the moon signs column for the Phoenix newspapers when that was around. I wrote that column for 17 years. It was syndicated all over. We are not in a friendly era for print media right now. So what I do now for writing is I write for Llewellyn Worldwide. So writing astrology, first I wrote the astrological elements. Secondly, I wrote astrology on the cusp for people born on the cusp. And I write for them every year. I've got the 2016 Herbal Almanac and the 2016 Moon Signs Almanac, which is, those are really good if you're interested in astrology. So playing cards and tarot cards have a lot in common. 4 suits. So playing cards are what suits? Diamond.
Aces. Spades. Clubs.
Yeah, spades, clubs, diamonds, and hearts. Tarot cards are a little bit different. They have these things called cups. And the cups correspond to hearts in playing cards. And then they have these they have these pentacles, which are usually depicted as a 5-pointed star in a circle. And those actually are, please don't open that.
Oh, you got that.
I do, and these are actually, I have tarot cards for sale too. So the diamonds are connected to the pentacles. And then we have the swords, which are, every sword card is a little bit scary. Some are violent, some are, kind of disturbing. The swords relate to the spades. And then we have the wands, which are like sticks with leaves. It's like, okay. They're not magic wands like my 6-year-old daughter would like with a little shiny star. They're like old-fashioned medieval wands. And those connect to the clubs. Wonderful. So as you're reading, as we're going to start practice reading today, and I want to get you guys right into this. Amy's handing out our handout. Those suits connect to astrological signs. So the first one I said, the cups. The cups connect to your water signs. And your water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. So if you have your cups, if you're a water sign person, if I'm reading for a water sign person, a lot of cups come up. I'm thinking, okay, this has to do with their emotions. The pentacles which connect to diamonds and playing cards, because you can do fortune telling with regular playing cards. It's like, you absolutely can, if you know some of the basic principles. So those pentacles relate to earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. So if you get a lot of earth sign, cards, pentacle cards, that really relates to having money, finance, acquisitiveness. So a reading with a lot of those has to do with what do you have, okay? What do you have? The swords connect to the air signs, and that's Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And that has to do with your thinking. So if you see a lot of swords, it's about taking action. I mean, right? It's like someone with a sword is going to take action. If you have a sword in your hand, you're gonna move. And if you get a lot of those swords, that means taking action. It's like, oh, okay, your problem is whatever. A lot of swords. You need to take action. Though it's not always that simple. Sometimes taking action has to do with thinking. Okay, it has to do with thinking. The air signs have to do with, their element is the wind. So it's that intellectual activity. Finally, your wands, those connect to the fire signs, which is Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. And the wands have to do with work and problem completion versus problem solving. And right now your heads are spinning, right? I just want like sign, suit. But the thing to bear in mind is that there's only four suits. And then there are these things called major arcana. So what I'd like to do now, Christopher, you can help. Thank you. Could we get you guys in groups? Looks like you've already done that. So the groups of 3 and 4. Could we pass out, give every group a pack, okay?
We typically only need, we only need 4.
Well, you can pass them up. So, I'll take one of these. So what we're going to do, before we start, go ahead, this group needs one and that group needs one.
And that one.
Yes, they need one too. Thank you. It's the first time I've done this with an assistant.
You have 2 or just 1?
One is fine.
Good. Yeah, thank you.
So the protocol with tarot cards is you keep them wrapped in a silk scarf and you stick them in a wooden box. And that's very traditional. And if you don't have a wooden box, you have a wooden drawer. If you don't have a wooden drawer, you live in a wooden house. So if you don't have the wooden box right away, it's okay, all right? At different times, I've kept my cards in a wooden drawer, and I felt like, okay, that's fine. The other thing with tarot cards is that the person doing the reading, you've heard the phrase, cross your palms with silver, right?
No.
Okay. So it's a very kind of traditional phrase. When you're reading, you cross the fortune teller's palm with silver, like put a silver coin in. So the library's already done that for me, which is like really nice. But I always do this presentation and ask and say that an organization that I'm involved with out in Fitchburg, Mass. is called Twin City Paws. Twin City Paws looks after the stray animals. We provide food for the shelter dogs in Fitchburg. Fitchburg I'm on the school committee. We have almost 80% of our kids are on free and reduced lunch. We are like Lowell and Lawrence, but we're a smaller community. We're the same numbers. We have the same urban issues. So we have a lot of rental properties. People move, they leave a cat behind, the cat breeds. Then there's ferals. We help trap the ferals. We help find them homes. We work with shelters and rescues and veterinary clinics and the works. We also have a therapy pet program. We go talk to, we bring our therapy pets. I have a therapy cat named Wendell.
Should have brought him.
I should have brought Wendell. He would actually be very picturesque if we had a pumpkin, because we have a little black cat. So we do that. We help people who are leaving this world and going to the next. We deal with hospice people. We go to an autistic classroom in one of our schools. And again, autistic kids are more responsive to smaller animals than large. So we help train people to be what's called pet therapy teams. And then we do all school presentations. So we bring a dog into the schools and talk to kids about pet care responsibility. So I do a collection for Twin City paws. I'm just going to pass this around. So you can cross their paws with silver if the spirit moves. And now let's get some cards. So you've got your suits right here. And then we have the numbers. Tarot cards also have numbers, so it's not just a picture. It's also a number. So you might have a picture of little children like very happily playing. Or you might have a picture of a miser, holding a bunch of pentacles. Those numbers are key. 1 to 5 is one set of numbers. 6 to 10 is another set of numbers. And I I wrote here, I wanted to make this as clear as possible. Hello, come on in. Feel free to, you need to be with a group? Can we put you with this group over here? Because we're going to be doing readings for one another. Actually, would you like to come sit down here? We can make a group of 4 for us? Yeah. Okay. So your 1s is new beginnings and opportunities. 2 is balance or partnership. These show up, balance and partnership cards. Could be love, could be work. You'll see. 3 is initial achievement of goals. 3 is like a triad. That's like the first stable, stable structure. 4 is foundation. 4 is more stable than 3, right? A 4-legged table is more stable than 3. So just think of it that way. If you get a 3 and a 4 right next to it, that's saying, oh, how are you going to find stability in this situation? 5 is instability. Most people who come talk to me are in flux, are in a sort of dynamic where things aren't right. And they know things aren't right, and they're kind of like, well, what's going to happen next? So when you see those 5s coming up in a reading, it's like, yeah, you're right, there is instability. What is it around? Well, if you've got pentacles, the instability might be around money. Yeah, finance. If you've got cups, the instability might be around absolutely relationships. If you've got swords, the instability might be around
indecisiveness.
Thank you. Excellent. And if you've got wands, the instability might be around business, job, career. Kind of like, oh, I can't do this anymore. Where I can't work with these people anymore, like that. 6, we move on to problem solving. The tarot deck is nicely balanced. It might say chaos, craziness, unpredictability, and then it's kind of like, oh, resolution. Organization. It'll all, the cards kind of add up to the whole world, and that's the last card in the deck, actually, the world. 7 is discovering new partnership possibility. In my practice, working with earth signs, your Taurus, your Virgo, your Capricorn, more Taurus and Capricorn, that 7 card kind of makes them nervous. Something new, something unpredictable. I don't know. My Capricorn clients, they take their time making those decisions and changing their life. But the tarot, if it shows up in the cards, it's like, hey, follow your gut. 8 is taking charge, regenerating, reevaluating. You see how these things are kind of paired up? Discovering new partnerships, 7 and 8. And then we have 9 and 10. Education, working towards a conclusion, and completion, end of the cycle. So high numbers in your tarot reading says, well, you may think things are upside down, but you're actually nearer a conclusion than you might think. Then we have the suit cards. These are pretty clear. It'll say page or knight or king or queen on the bottom. And pages can be children or messages or ideas or people who work under you or children. Children, what are you doing? Oh, you've got all your major arcana out.
Yeah.
Then we have then we have down here in this right column, like halfway down, these are sample readings. So guess what I'm going to ask you to do?
Sample reading.
Absolutely. And this is how it's going to work. Who has in each group, figure out who has the next birthday. Who's going to have their birthday?
Can I ask a question?
Oh, yeah.
While the group and we don't know people.
Absolutely.
All right, so maybe switch out.
If you already know, if you came here with a buddy, you can stay with your buddy if you want. I don't want to divide people. But if you want to work with a group that you don't know at all, that'll help your intuition.
It does help.
I know.
It's better.
I know.
So, and could we put you with that group to work with this group over here? I'll move. I don't mind if you want to stay. But hold on, we need to,
I can
yeah.
go over there.
You could go over here, and then this lady could come down here maybe, or come down here.
Yeah,
or
not to
here.
mess everybody up, but it's true. It's true. We have to mind
I do.
So, who's got the next birthday?
I know him.
Okay, so we'll go birthday person to the left.
Are you coming?
Hold on. The person whose birthday it is shuffles the cards. And you shuffle them for as long as you need to. And you, birthday person, you think of a question to ask. And it can't be something like, what's next for me? Be specific. It could be, I'm a little anxious about a deadline I have coming up. I feel like I need more time, or I feel like whatever. Come up with a question, and then the group, we're going to do hive mind, all right? The group is all the readers. And one of you, I would say the person to the birthday person's left, is going to deal those cards out. So the birthday person shuffles. All I do as a reader, I just turn cards over. I haven't shuffled them, I haven't handled them. The person who's getting the reading is the person who's deciding where those cards are, which means by whenever they stop, it's like, okay, I'm done. And then I would hand this to the person on my left, and that person would say past, present, future. My suggestion, turn over one card at a time and do the past, present, future. Do you guys get it?
Yeah.
So you just, okay, she's going to deal out the cards for you. But you think of a question that you want answered. And again, we're going to do sort of 5 minutes per person, so we all get that experience to be the reader. And if you could use the Rider-Waite deck.
Oh, the other. Oh, not this.
Is that a Rider-Waite deck?
No.
Okay. Yeah, please just use the Rider-Waite. It's easier for me to come around.
Can
it be a specific question?
The more specific, the better. The more specific, the better. Absolutely. All right, you guys ready? All right, shuffle away. And I'm going to monitor, I'm going to roam around. Yeah.
This is a sword.
Card comes out upside down, just turn it right side up. Keep it simple. Reverse cards generally mean delays or diminishment of meaning. Okay? But just to keep it really simple for you, just because this is a practice reading, turn those cards right side up, that's fine. And in fact, well, so we lay them out in this order here. All right, past, present, future. Just so, yeah, always read for the client. So this is your order. So past here is giving everything that you have and measuring it out. And this is sort of new information coming in for a child or a messenger or kind of this is the present. So this is kind of, having to think like a child.
And this is the reading.
Having to think like a child.
Those are definitely these are caps.
Yes.
And this is sword.
Yes. And the numbers are Roman. So this is past, present, future.
Okay.
Okay. 5, 9, 3. What was the question?
My son wants to purchase a property. There are all kinds of things that yesterday's
Okay. Nice. This is New Horizons. Okay. Initial achievement of goals, friendships. So it sounds like everything came together yesterday. New discoveries. This is a positive reinforcement of new discoveries. Okay. So
the present.
9. Education, working towards a conclusion, finding teachers, finding employees. Yeah, and having. I mean, the fact that you're working with your son on this, that the cups have to do with that emotional connection. So someone where you're emotionally connected. Okay.
The past, swords.
Picking up the pieces after a battle. Look at the pictures. Look at the pictures. Well, and you're also trying to use your intuition. Look at the picture. What is this a picture of? This is a picture of a king, and it looks like it's like summer, or it's like good weather. It's not snowing, and someone who's in their garden. They're not waging war. They're just kind of in repose. This is people who are going into church. He has a bell, and these are two people there. So it's a kind of, there's some social, there's some kind of, this is like a sort of social representation. It's kind of a stable situation. Is it you and your parents kind of the top? So are you feeling constrained by anything? If a king shows up, are you feeling oppressed by anyone or by your own expectations? Okay, so that would be a question. This has to do with wands and feelings, or it has to do with work and feelings. Cup, one. So it's more to do with feelings than work. This is a 2 to 1. See that? Can I have a check? Just a couple of things. We are doing this while the moon is waxing. Okay, the moon will be full on the 27th of October, 2016. And when the moon is waxing, it brings emotions up, it brings feelings up. It also means your intuition can be sharper. Okay, but you also may feel like, I don't know, it might mean this or this. You can also feel crowded in by possibility. That alternative interpretations are just overwhelming. So what I'll say to you all as a group is what I've been saying to you as individuals. Look at the pictures. What does that picture show you? Does that picture show you happiness? Does that picture show you people? Is that a picture with animals in it? Is that a picture with children? Is it a picture with old people? Is it a picture with violence? Is it a picture with someone looking discouraged? Is it a picture with someone who looks serene? What's in the picture? Some you don't have people. Some, the 3 of Swords, which is here, well, there's no people in that. But what does that tell you? 3 swords through a heart? Ow, ow, ow. All right. So what's going on? That's what I mean. Is your whole That's a young person. Is he starting a job? Is he starting a business? Absolutely. Now, some of you have moved on because you've done the 3-card readings, and it's good practice. When you get in tune with other people, and I would say if you want to carry on, doing tarot readings on your own or with groups, it's a great thing to learn more than once. I knew someone when I was in my 20s, and we kind of guided each other on the tarot card practice. You can practice by yourself, that's fine, but it's really more fun to practice with other people because they'll see things in the card you might not. And then you might always identify a card with a certain thing, and they may say, well, what do you ever consider that this is the interpretation? But I'd like to say you should move along to the 5-card reading. Now, 5-card reading is easy, because some of you had a hard time coming up with questions, right? Yeah. The 5-card reading for yourself, and I would say do that as a group. The first question is what I do well. So I'm asking you, you're being asked a question already. So what I do well, if what I do well is and I turn over, say, the ace of something. So let's say the ace of pentacles. Or the ace of cups. What I do well is I'm good at starting relationships. Or I turn over the ace of wands. I'm good at starting a job. I'm good at initiating a job. Or the ace of swords. I can think of new ideas. Or the ace of pentacles. I can think of new ways to spend money. Or make money. Right? So that first question is a question. You don't have to think, and it may remind you of a situation you want clarity on. Or it may not. But that 5-card sequence of questions is basically a self-moderated reading. And I would say do it as your group and see where you go. And I also have, we do have books for sale here. I have 3 decks of Rider-Waite. And Barnes & Noble has these for $25, which is criminal, and I have them for $18. So if you want to walk out with cards, by all means, come talk.
What are your customers?
What's that? Okay, awesome. And I'm happy to sign books as well. All right, carry on.
So when you get to the then number 2, what I need to do better.
Yeah.
This applies on the second card. The third card applies on the second card. have time.
Really a very obnoxious person.
You want to do your question?
So the cards. Some of you have asked, well, why this deck? What all that? So a little bit about the deck. Pamela Coleman Smith was a member of the Order of the Golden Dawn in the late 19th century. She did this deck. She painted them. She created them. She drew from medieval archetypes from the original tarot deck, which was kind of developed in the Florentine medieval society in the 15th century, and traveled around. And she was a friend of the Theosophists and Madame Blavatsky and Aleister Crowley and all of these late Victorian people. So if you look at this deck, you'll see she has medieval characters, right? There's tradesmen, there's knights, there's England's rich past represented in these cards, along with a very Art Nouveau style. Art Nouveau was the William Morris in the late 19th century was a great designer. Decorative arts and things like that, flourishes, elaborate. Remember how typography got very elaborate in the late 19th century? Well, Pamela Coleman Smith uses some of these flourishes. You'll see design elements in some of the cards that are not medieval, okay? So it's a fusion of these two styles, the moment in which she lived and this medieval period. These cards were painted originally. Nobody knows what happened to the 72 paintings.
Wow.
It's a very weird story. It's very mysterious. She died pretty young, but she was, she was really into this whole occult period. At the end of centuries, it's always a very sort of chaotic time. The 40s are chaotic, and the end of a century. So the 1840s was the time of the great, the second great religious awakening in America. The 1940s was, of course, we had a world. Well, what do we have?
World War II.
Yes, we had World War II.
There's 78 cards in the tarot deck.
Sorry, misspoke. There are. So the cards, you got to look at the pictures. Look at the pictures. Look at the pictures. Look at the number. Look at the pictures. The number interpretation may seem to refute the picture, but what does it tell you? The idea is that you're getting it. Your subconscious is telling you what to do with these cards. We're very logical creatures because our frontal lobes developed outward. But let your lizard brain kind of look at the images. So, any questions? You all are like very deeply engaged in this, which is great. Yes, the tarot cards are about intuition. As an astrologer, the skill I use most, I can't believe it, is 10th grade geometry. Doing astrology is all about looking at geometric angles and turning them into 3 dimensions, basically in my head. So if I know what your birthday is and I know where all your planets are, I can see this is the pattern, then I can see what's coming up. Tarot cards are much more, it's much more, it's much more right brain, right? It's much more, emotional. What does that remind you of? That's a good question to ask the people you're working with. Well, what does that remind you of? What does that make you think of? I mean, I've been reading cards for a really long time, so my interpretation has changed for myself over time. All right? So the cards look different to me over time. Anyway, any other questions?
What's the significance of
So, yes.
versus...
So we have the major arcana that I didn't put in this deck. The major arcana is a separate journey that goes in. And I'm making the infinity sign because if you lay these cards out, they will make an infinity sign. The 0 card is the Fool. What do you think that means?
0 card.
It's like before the beginning. So if you have your tarot deck, if you buy a tarot deck today or order one, you already have one, take the major arcana out and start reading just with them. That's fun. So 0 is the Fool, who is walking off the edge of a cliff, and a dog is yapping. The second card is the Magician. On the table are the 4 instruments of the tarot. The cup, the pentacle, the wand, and the sword. Yep. So there's the Magician. It's about having tools. There's an infinity sign over his head. Then we get the High Priestess. The High Priestess has a cross. She's got the Islamic crescent underneath her robe. She's got the Egyptian columns with Greek sort of Corinthian tops. And she has a very weird crown, which is a ball with sort of bull's horns. That is the symbol of the island of Crete, which was the home of Zeus, which was the reigning god of mythology. So there's a lot of astrological sort of elements in these cards. Next comes the Empress. Who was the Greek goddess of the harvest? Yes.
Or Demeter.
Yes. So the Greek goddess of the harvest was Demeter. There's a female symbol and a heart, and that is the symbol for love and female. And Demeter also is Virgo. So this is a good card for Virgos to get. Now we get the Emperor. Again, there's a lot of pairs in tarots, on the one hand, on the other hand. The Emperor is a man who is of great age. He has a crown, he has a beard. He sits in a throne with ram's horns. Astrologically, what sign is represented by the ram?
Aries.
Yes. So this is Aries. This is a good Aries card. And he has his knight's armor, but he has the robes of kingship. Next we get the Hierophant. This is a slightly maddening one. It basically means established church, established authority, familiar authority, not sort of free-form organizations, but much more specific, unvarying organizations or thought, rigidity. And that was the 5. And now we have the 6, the Lovers. This was actually used as the symbol. The rock musical Hair used this as the poster back in 1967. So the Lovers is really beautiful. There's an angel, and then there's Adam and Eve, and then there's clouds, and then there's the tree of the forbidden knowledge with the little serpent, right? And then there's another little tree that kind of looks like laurels. And this is a lovely card to give to get if I'm doing a reading for someone in their for some girl in their 20s. This usually turns up for ladies who are looking for relationships. Oddly enough, in my practice. Next, we have the Chariot, which is the 7. This has a couple of Egyptian sphinxes, right? Egyptian iconography was very popular in the late 19th century. Other cards use this general idea. The sphinxes, of course, are riddlers, right? They ask riddles. The Chariot, going someplace. You're going someplace. This is an easy one. Number 8, Strength. Here is this beautiful maiden. She could be the Empress. She is helping a lion. She is fearless with a lion. Androcles and the lion. Remember, Androcles took out the thorn from the lion's paw. So having strength in the wake of working with dangerous situations. This is a good card for Leos because it has the lion. Next we have the Hermit, which is number 9. Man with a lantern. Remember the story of Diogenes? He wandered through Athens at night looking for an honest man. He never found one. So the Hermit, my cousin Jonathan, when he was about my son's age, when he was around 11 or 12, he loved this card. He just loved the symbol of the Hermit. This is a wizard card. Now we have a turning point in the deck, the Wheel of Fortune. What does the Wheel of Fortune represent?
Ups and downs of fate.
Ups and downs of fate, gambling, taking a chance, throwing the wheel, randomness, right? But very fate. This is in the middle of the major arcana. And after that, we get Justice. And justice is justice, right? Truth will prevail. Easy card to read. And now we get a sequence. We'll do it this way, I guess. We have the Hanged Man. This is a man upside down. This is in a sort of yoga pose. And then we have Death. Now, death in tarot cards doesn't necessarily mean, you're coughing your last and you're heading into the great beyond. Death is major transition. If you get the Death card, or if you have a client getting the Death card, they'll have a little intake of breath and go, and I always say, no. This means that there is a transition happening and it is going to be complete. It will be absolute. And Death is shown here on his horse, and we've got the Pope asking for forgiveness or asking for leniency, and then the sun is rising, and when Death comes to town, there is no stopping. That's the last word. Then we have temperance. Again, what is temperance?
Moderation.
Moderation, yeah. Yeah, moderation.
Tempering the steel.
What's that?
Tempering the steel.
Tempering the steel. Yes, that's excellent. And this shows an angelic character with 1 foot on the land and 1 foot in the water with irises, swamp flowers. It's a really beautiful card, but it basically says put on the brakes. Okay, slow down. Next we get the devil. This card echoes the lovers. The devil card shows an Adam and Eve figure chained up, and instead of the angel, we have the devil, and we have the only use of the pentagram outside of the pentacles. So this was all the sort of super giving into your basest urges, all those all the seven vices, whatever. The devil is kind of giving into your worst impulses. This is a card that might show up if you're working with people with addiction issues or who have substance abuse issues. It's all about like you're at the mercy. You're at the mercy of forces beyond your conscious mind. So that is a scary card. But the scariest card is actually the Tower. This is another transition card, and this is number 16. The Tower shows people falling from the tower, which has been hit by lightning. Okay? This card took on a very different meaning after September 11th, 2001. I mean, this is a scary card. So what tower does it represent? Tower of Babel. Yeah. So here's biblical illusions. So Pamela Coleman-Smith put biblical illusions in. She put mythological illusions in. She put Art Nouveau illusions in. She put sort of Canterbury Tales illusions. It's a very rich deck. So that is a scary card.
Could I say something about that card?
Absolutely.
It's also an awakening. So if it scares people too much, it's something to remember, because the tower can symbolize the physical body, and the lightning bolt to the head makes you realize something. Often, you're not too comfortable with what you're realizing, but it is an awakening, so it could be, there's a positive edge on it.
There's a very positive edge, but it's like the outer edge, and you
like I said, it could be an awakening. It's not comfortable for you, but you'll wake up.
That was really elegantly expressed, because the tower is kind of, that's the point of the reading where I just say, so what's really going on? It's like, what's this really about? And sometimes people come in and they're at a little bit of a breaking point. And it's like sometimes people need permission to kind of fall apart. So the tower says, you can't stop it. You can't stop the train, you can't stop the tumbling down, you have to watch this play out and duck, if need be. The star and the moon and the sun, so these are 3 cards, they're really beautiful. The star, we have, again, another pool of water. We have the 7 sisters, we have seven stars. And here we have, could be the water carrier, could be Aquarius. So they're pouring water into the pool and pouring water into the ground that then flows into the pool. And these 3 cards, which include the moon and the sun, these are more kind of awakening cards. So it's the sort of, there are forces, natural forces beyond your conscious abilities that are going to play a factor. And I look at these also as time, what's happening time-wise. The star is at night, the moon is at night, the sun is in the daytime. The moon is ruled by, the moon rules what sign?
Cancer.
The sign of Cancer is ruled by the moon. So here's a dog, a domestic animal, and here's a wolf, a wild animal, and they're howling together at the moon. And then there's a little scorpion, or actually it's a lobster, but let's call it a scorpion, so it's a Scorpio, rising up, and we can assume there's fish in that pool. There aren't any fish in the Rider-Waite tarot deck. I wish there were, but anyway, they're implicit. And then there's 2 little towers over here. And again, a kind of a beautiful card, very mystical. The sun, what a sign is ruled by the sun? Christopher?
Leo.
Yes. So Leo is ruled by the sun. And there's sunflowers, a little baby on a horse coming in triumph. The sun is a very hopeful card. There's a real kind of joyousness there, and sometimes it's about getting in touch with the child within, which was a phrase you heard a lot in the late 90s, getting in touch with the child within. So These three, I like to group them together because they're you know, they kind of work as a unit. It's the only sort of like threesome in the tarot deck. Everything else that sort of has alternates. The Devils looks just like the Lovers with different stage makeup. Finally, we get to Judgment. So here's the angel Gabriel blowing his horn, and here are the bodies rising from their boxes. And you know that when people are buried, their heads, they're facing east. That's the tradition in cemeteries. The people are buried with their heads facing east, so on Judgment Day they can rise to meet the dawn. So here's Judgment, which has corollaries with Justice. But Judgment is kind of like, hey, Judgment. The judgment may come down and you're not in charge of it. You, the person I'm reading for, there's going to be something else that kind of comes in that's not within your powers. And then finally we get to the World. And in the World, the card has details, including the angel Gabriel up here, the eagle, which is another creature that represents Aries, Taurus, the bull, right? So if there's Tauruses, and then Leo, the lion. And then here is our angel, kind of floating in air, surrounded by laurels. So this kind of captures, this card represents sort of everything, everything. And it's a good card to get. It's a card that kind of wraps things up in a helpful way for people. And it's a peaceful card. It's a card that's meant to make you feel resolved, or to feel that situations can be resolved, or that there's going to be judgment, there's going to be, things will be fair, things will work out, right? The World is a card that says things will work out. So that's a quickie tour through the major arcana. As you can see, if you started with a 3-card reading, if we threw these things in, you'd probably do pretty well right now, but an hour ago, it might have been, that's just a little layer of difficulty. So any questions about any cards or anything in particular? Do you guys feel like you're very confident now? You could go out and do some reading? You gotta practice.